Talking Hands is a company that was founded 2 years ago by Laura and me. And our goal was to create a way for little children who cannot speak yet or just can't speak in general to find a way for them to communicate with everyone else.
But I think our audience would be very much interested in how you approached kind of a prototype of your first product. Can you elaborate on that? How did the first books came to life, maybe?
Yeah. Talking Hands was actually the graduation project of Laura. So she kind of just created the first 100 books that used words like mama, papa, drinking, eating, toilet.
You've never been in a negative cash flow a month in your life in the 2 years of the company. Wow.
Yes.
That is very unusual for the startup.
We mostly sell our books in the big box, which consists of 100 books. Yeah. And we sell it for 250 euros. So, when if you just sell 4 boxes a day, it's still like 1,000 euros.
BotTalk podcast.
Okay. Great to have you here, Maria, from Talking Hands. A great startup. We know each other from, I think, last year. From Frankfurt, really excited to talk about Talking Hands. It's a very unusual, I would say, startup in our guest line. So tell us all about it. What is Talking Hands?
Talking Hands is a company that was founded 2 years ago by Laura and me, and our goal was to create a way for little children who cannot speak yet or just can't speak in general to find a way for them to communicate with everyone else. And so the way to do that is by using sign language, but there wasn't really that much material out there that would teach children in a fun way how to use sign language in their daily life. So we created Talking Hands, and we transformed individual signs into little flipbooks. So children could use the flipbooks, flip through the books, see how the movement of the sign is working, and then just do it themselves.
Okay, exciting. How did you come up with the idea? What is your background? What did you do before Talking Hands then?
Laura and I, we both studied communication design here in Frankfurt, so we know each other from college. And our background is basically being graphics designers. So we didn't actually have that much to do, or I didn't have that much to do with the whole topic, but Laura's big sister has Down syndrome. Her name is Jami. And for children with Down syndrome, sign language is very beneficial because they get the chance to communicate with everyone else around them, even though they can't speak yet. So that's kind of why the topic was very close to our heart. And that's why Laura started creating those little flip books in college to find a way to make it easier for all kids.
That is very exciting. Okay, so you had this idea, and I remember from the talks before, from the pitches that I've heard before, I found it, but I think our audience would be very much interested in how you approached kind of a prototype of your first product. Can you elaborate on that? How did the first books came to life, maybe?
Yeah. Talking Hands was actually the graduation project of Laura. So she kind of just created the first 100 books that used words like mama, papa, drinking, eating, toilet, all the words that little kids need. And then she transformed them into the first 100 flipbooks and gave them to an inclusive kindergarten here in Frankfurt. And they loved it so much. You didn't even need to explain to them what these flipbooks were or how to use them. They just kind of, the children understood immediately, used the books and started to do the signs and show each other, and we're super proud of being able to do the sign and showed it to everyone else and the parents as well. And so that kindergarten was so excited about the whole project that they said, well, we would actually like some more flip books, and we're going to show this to all the other kindergartens that we know. And then there were kind of more and more emails coming in from other kitas and kindergartens that said, oh, we heard you're doing this project. We're also really interested. When can we have the books? But at that point, there were only those 100 books that one kindergarten had. So at that point, Laura asked me if I was interested in just kind of, creating Talking Hands with her and make sure that every kindergarten who wants to work with the flipbooks can actually do that.
Well, exciting. In terms of we now understand, the birth of the idea, the birth of the company. In terms of jumping straight ahead to now, how big is your company? What is in terms of the team and in terms of the product? Can you elaborate on, maybe some numbers? That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, so last year in September, Jacob, who is our CTO now, joined the team as a co-founder. And we have 5 other girls who work with us as working students and interns who really have helped us a lot. So right now we're a team of 8 people. And Jacob asked the CTO, you might wonder, why would we need a CTO if we just do books? But we're creating an app as well that's actually going to come out next month, because we wanted to make sure that if you're on the road or if you just don't have the capacity to store that many little tiny books, then you can just download the app and learn sign language on your app. Kind of also in a fun way, because we will integrate lots of gamification applications and have lots of fun games for kids to play. Yeah,
cool. So basically the team is or the staff is not that big, right? So I understand like 3 people on like a permanent payroll and couple of so 5 like working students kind of contracts. So you guys must not have like such a big burn rate, right? So how are you financed in terms of, you are selling the books? What is your share between maybe not the actual numbers, but what is your like financial situations?
Yeah. Well, we're very careful with money, I would say, maybe even more careful than other startups, because we try to only spend the money we really have to, because we started out just bootstrapping and came up with the money for the first edition of Talking Hands by ourselves. And that, I think that's why we were kind of, always really looking at, okay, what do we really have to spend? And we didn't really pay ourselves anything for the first year. So we were super careful with how we would spend money. And then, but of course, we sell our books. So it's not like we're creating a software that doesn't bring in any money. So right from the beginning, with the first edition that we sold, we kind of made a small profit that we could then use for the second edition. And that's kind of how we slowly grew. And then we had a small seed round the beginning of this year to just make sure that we were well prepared for all the expenses that the app might bring in, and just have a cash flow that wouldn't give us nightmares. So we wouldn't have to worry about that. So we're just, yeah, and also because we're such a small team, of course, now we do get a small salary, nothing crazy, but we're just not crazy spenders, I guess. Sometimes maybe a little too careful, because when you think about marketing, marketing is always super expensive. We've had a few rounds with influencer marketing, and of course we do Google ads. And then we're always like, oh, should we really spend that much money? Because are we sure we're gonna get it back in terms of sales? But also with marketing spending, we've kind of just taken baby steps and just kind of saw, oh, okay, this kind of works. Okay, next round we'll just spend a little more on this marketing area, and then we got it back in sales. So it's it's been going okay, but we're not burning any money. We up until this day, we actually have our 2-year anniversary this month in October, because that's when we signed the contracts 2 years ago, and we haven't burnt any money yet. I hope it's just gonna stay that way. Maybe at some point we'll have to, but
so you're telling me you've never been in a negative cash flow a month in your life in the 2 years of the company? Wow.
Yes,
That is very unusual.
yes.
for the startup. Wow.
But I think it's because, we mostly sell our books in the big box, which consists of 100 books.
Yeah.
And we sell it for 250 euros. So, if you just sell 4 boxes a day, it's still like 1,000 euros. And I guess other companies who maybe start out with an app that's based on a subscription model, and it costs, I don't know, 5 euros per month, then it's much harder to get to that point of 250. I think it's maybe easier, not easier, but I think it's a different, it's I think that's why we've always made money, because our product is more expensive than an app. But then we're of course going to do the app, because at some point hopefully it's going to have lots of people who subscribe to it, and then there's just a constant income of the monthly subscriptions. But yeah, and we haven't even studied business. We're just
I would say that works
way.
out pretty good for you. I'll just thinking out loud, because that fascinated me all the time when all the time that we know each other as the companies, is that as a digital business, BotTalk, digital only and so on, we understand how hard it is to develop in software and so on and so forth, and still like a negative cash flow business. But in your case, it's completely different. So I guess my question is, what else are you expecting from the app? I mean, is it like a scaling that you are trying to reach with the app? Is it like maybe internationalization? What is your expectations?
Yeah, well, it's definitely scaling, because like I said, like the book box that we do, it's mostly bought by schools and kindergartens, and some families also buy it, but of course it's expensive. So the app would mean that a lot of people who maybe can't afford like a whole book collection can afford 5 euros or whatever, 10 euros a month to get the subscription and to learn. So it's much cheaper, and so it's affordable for more people. So we do think that we're just going to grow our customer base with the app. And then, of course, going international is definitely on our agenda. But sign language is different in every country. So we can't just, just take all the animations that we have and just say, well, you can use it in the US too. We'd actually have to, change the contents of the app. But that's definitely something we want to do, and it's something we will do, but that's going to be at a much later point. Right now, we're still focusing on the German market, but it's it's a big goal for our future. But no, growing our customer base by giving everyone a way to learn the signs in a playful way for people who are on a budget.
Okay, makes all sense, and maybe kind of like an introduction to this whole topic. And you're of course planning also to like a back channel, maybe, right, from the app, and then you buy the physical book, right? So this is
actually the other way around, because we were always thinking, well, at some point we're just gonna have to stop with the books. I mean, who can have more than 300 books? It's just crazy. It's more meant for really small children or people to get excited about the whole topic, and then in the app they can actually dive into it way deeper, and we'll be able to have thousands of different signs in the app. And then that was kind of the thought, to kind of maybe you get people's excitement by the books because they're really playful and fun, and then for everyone who wants to learn more, they can download the app.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And the app will be so basically some kind of animation or videos and whatever, which where I can learn sign language, right?
Yeah, basically it's the same illustrations that we use in the books. They're just digitally animated but it's the same. I mean,
okay,
the flipbooks are basically.
But it will have your unique kind of feel, because I think what differentiates you is like how uniquely what's the word, it looks so good that you want to learn it, right? So it's not usually everything that has to do with accessibility is just you look at it and say, even if I needed to learn it, wow. I mean, that looks so ugly, like Soviet illustration book. It looks so ugly, but in your case, it looks so beautiful. Those books, and that is, I think, the design language that you are going to transfer in the app, right?
Yeah, totally. So the design is going to be exactly the same as it is in the books. And actually, one parent once told us that they were so happy about the books and also its design, and they said, children, especially children with disability, they also have a right to learn with well-designed books. You can't, and then the efficiency of learning is so much bigger, because if something looks nice to you and you want to spend time looking at it, you're just going to use it much more, and you're going to learn quicker, because in all the books, all our characters, they look different. It's like we have hundreds of different characters, and they're each unique, and they each kind of have something that like for example, the flip book that explains to you how to do the sign for cow. Cow goes like this, and then the character has like a t-shirt that has like the little black and white cow thing, so it looks like a cow, but basically, so they're very well designed and thought through, and that also helps the kids to really remember all the signs. It sticks in your head and you won't get it out.
So I guess we are at the point of USP, right? What is your unique selling proposition? And I guess design and how you did it, and now you go in with app. Are there any competition out there? What is your strategy on that?
Yeah, there's actually there are a bunch of apps for sign language, but they're all using videos of actual people who do the signs, which is totally fine as well. I mean, absolutely. But we always have, illustrated, animated, tiny figures. So I would say it's more kid friendly the way that we do it, because it's like, it's like an animation film, and children may, if the person who does the sign maybe looks kind of not nice, has like I don't know, maybe he's not looking too nice to the kid, then maybe the kid doesn't want to look at it. With kids, everything it's good if it's colorful and just light and nice. And I think that's maybe why those apps are, great for adults who want to learn it, but our main target group are children, and so we think our animations are great for children.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. Makes total sense. Yes. So when is the app out? So when is your big release date?
Next month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very.
We've actually with that app, we've been because the app we first had it just as kind of like a how do you say, Wörterbuch? What's like a
Dictionary.
Yeah, like a dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
We had a dictionary of all the signs that we had. So basically you would open our app that only we had on our phone, and then you could, in alphabetical order, you would see the different signs, and you could click on them and then see the animation. And then we're always like, this is just too boring. We want something else. And then you have all these amazing apps for learning other languages like Duolingo or Bubble, and they're all like, they're so much more fun because they have these cute little, like in Duolingo, it has this cute little owl that kind of leads you through everything, and you play games by learning. And we thought, we really have to create like something that's just more like a game and less like just a dictionary. So we had over the course of this year, we had so many interviews with teachers, with parents, with kindergarten teachers, just to really find out what do they want in this app, what's really important. So we started in February, and then we kind of turned everything, design is one of our, one of the things we're really, really proud of. So of course the app would have to really be in that kind of design that we want. So we've just been designing and then checking out, do you understand this? Is this good? And just been going back and forth. So we're definitely not releasing like an MVP. That MVP we never released, which is maybe not the way other startups do it. I guess we just didn't feel comfortable with that. Anyway, so now we're releasing an app with games, with a dictionary, with a way for kids who can't read yet to still navigate in the app just by using the symbols. And and it's just going to have all the features that our target group wishes to have. So that's why it took so long. But we're on the right track.
Okay, very exciting, very exciting. And in terms of subscription, so what is the business model behind the app? How much money do I have to pay on a monthly basis to get an access? Or
so we're gonna start out with a monthly subscription that's gonna be $4.99. And we do have lots of more features planned that will probably come out in a year from now, but they're not implemented yet, and we just want to get it out. So we're going to start with $4.99, and then we'll say, this is kind of the reduced price for the first year because it doesn't have all the features yet. But then once we're at the point where it's just filled with features, it's going to be around $9.99, and then we'll have like a yearly subscription too that's going to be less than the monthly subscription. And then, which is really important, we're going to do a license for schools and kindergartens, because most schools, they can't just do like a normal subscription. So we're going to do a license model as well.
Wow,
But
I think that is
yeah,
one of the most complicated thing to do, actually, right? So
yeah.
how did you manage to kind of manage this kind of negotiations with school?
We actually we first, because we spoke to a lot of schools, just also like in the process of finding out what they would want from this app. And then it was also the question was also about the price model and how we could create a price model that would work for schools as well. So basically the only thing that works is this license model. So you would sell like a yearly license to schools, and then they would have a license that, you know, maybe 2 or 3 computers can get into, and then for every other computer or iPad or a phone, you kind of have to pay a little more. But that's like all the license thing, the yearly subscription, that's stuff that's going to come in a year from now. So we're just going to start out with the $4.99 monthly subscription, and then just to have the app out there and being used and get feedback. And while we're implementing all the other features that we still want, just when the time's right, there's going to be the option for the schools as well.
Okay, that sounds interesting. So in terms of, so there's an app, when everything goes according to plan, it's super successful. What is your, what is like a big, what is your big kind of vision for the company? So, you know, why are you waking up? So at the moment, okay, you guys somehow crack this code of being sustainable. I don't know why, but you know, you are you seem to know something that other startups don't. Okay, very good. It's already, but other than that, what makes you go to work every day? So what is like, you know, the why behind it all? I think that is the point that you to ask this question.
Yeah. So I guess like every other new startup out there, we also have nights where we really can't sleep and we think, oh my God, we're just in over our heads, and this is just all gonna crash down. And then other weeks where everything's going great. And in those weeks, it's mostly like emails or even like super sweet letters that we get from kitas and parents who use our products, and they just say, thank you for existing and thank you for coming up with this idea. It's amazing. It's helped us so much. It's kind of just the constant feedback that we get just because people want to say thank you. That's really kind of the fuel behind everything that we do. And I think it's also because, especially in the, you know, when you look at the world of inclusion and education and most of this stuff is just kind of, especially in the world of children with disabilities, most of the learning materials, it's mostly made by teachers themselves who have to kind of come up with new stuff, or it's made by the parents, or, you know, it's all very handmade, which is really nice. But that just shows you that no big company ever really said, okay, we're going to focus on creating amazing learning material for children with disability that's also going to be fun for children without disability, so they can all learn together and communicate together. Because I mean, that's also something we heard right from the beginning. It's like, oh, you have such a tiny target group, and it's so, I mean, it's very sweet what you do, but wouldn't this be better as like an NGO kind of project? And because I don't know why that is, but no one, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a money thing, or people think you can't make any money with learning materials for kids with disability. But that's why there's really not enough out there. And I think that's kind of why right from the beginning, we started to sell our stuff, and why we made money just basically with our first edition, because there was a huge need here in Germany for exactly that, and no one met that need before, and we're kind of, I hope we can inspire lots of other people to kind of start working in this area, because there's still so much to do. And our big vision, I would say, is to become a company that focuses on inclusion and create lots of new games or learning materials that just strengthen inclusion for everyone and makes it easier for kindergartens and schools to implement inclusion, because it's still, in a lot of institutions, they still separate kids that have a disability from kids who don't have a disability, because they just don't know how to mix them and how to play games with both of them. So that's something where we as Germany are still not very strong. It's much better in other countries.
And I guess your answer to that is, it's not a problem of of disability, but it's just a tech problem that you can actually solve if you really put your mind in. I really liked your focus on that should be actually all kids first education, and not only disability kids education.
Yeah.
And when you look at it like that, then first of all, it is a niche market, but this is a huge market. I mean, if you ask every grown-up person out there, would you love to know sign language? Would you love to know? Yeah, of course. I would love to have known, how sign language works. And I think if I learned it in the kindergarten, that would be much easier for me than starting right now. I mean, because kids absorb information so fast, and it's nothing else. Like I have a nephew in Switzerland. He speaks 3 languages from the get-go, because they just do speak several languages out there. So I think this is very similar to that. Why wouldn't they speak a new language? Because especially when you make it so fun as a game. So I think
exactly. And that's something we also because we do experience, how some people do have their reservations about teaching kids sign language when they don't need it, because they say, well, what if it's going to affect their ability to speak? Will they just not speak anymore? And it's just
wow.
That's just
there
bullshit,
are people like
really.
that. Wow.
And people are like that. And then we just say, well, in your daily life, you kind of, you use your hands to make gestures. And if you ask a really tiny kid if he or she wants to go to sleep, you would also, oh, you want to sleep? And then we're like, well, that's also a sign. That's how you do sleep. And so that's kind of how we try to tell them. You can just think of it as, you can, of course, that's also, this is what I'm going to have to say because, there's sign language that people who are deaf use, of course. And it's like they have thousands of signs and they have their own grammar. And what we do is try to teach kids like a few signs of sign language, to just get across their wishes and needs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's basically what we do is sign supported language. So we say, like, if you ask the kid, do you want to play with the ball? You would say the sentence and then sign playing and ball. So the kid understands, oh, so this is what it's about. So it's not the whole concept of science. It's more science supported language, which makes it even easier, because you would just really not have to know that many signs, just signs for the basic needs of kids, and remember them. And I mean, eating and drinking, it's you wouldn't even need to learn that.
That is actually a very smart idea, kind of to introduce the subset of a language and say, okay, if we all knew even the subset, then it would already make such a huge difference for the community, for everyone else. I mean, I would feel better if I knew a new language, or even a small amount of new languages. So great checkbox on my personal list. Yeah, totally. Very cool. Yeah, very cool. I love the idea how you have a much broader kind of sense than only these books, and that you want to really change the whole way, maybe how people not only educated, but how people play, and so on with each other, and the games and so on. I love the idea, and I guess I'm very excited about your future. I'm very emotionally invested in the company. Okay, maybe the last final words where people can find you, where people can download the app when it's available.
Yeah, so the best way to find us is on our website. It's Talking Hands Flipbooks.com. So it's kind of a long, but you'll get it. Or you just type in Talking Hands in Google.
We'll put it in the description of the podcast.
Yeah. And then we'll be on the App Store and at the Play Store with the app.
So it's gonna be called Talking Hands or something like that, right?
Yes, it's gonna be called Talking Hands.
Okay. Yeah, we will. We'll, after we publish the episode and after the app is there, by the time you watch it, of course, just look at the description. There'll be links to the stores, and perfect. Wow, yes. Thank you very much, Maria, for such a great time. I had it was a blast, I think, to think differently and to think about how to build sustainable startups from the start. And
well, we hope it stays that way. We've just
it will. I hope the way you guys operate, what we learned this episode is great. Yeah, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and wish you luck.
Likewise.
And of course, waiting for this app to go live. Yeah.